A list of the topics, themes, and subject matter featured in this episode has been included in the episode description.
Hi, I'm Kenny, the DM for Fables of Frost and Fur, and I am joined by my lovely cast. Matt.
Carmen.
Kaylee.
Kaylee, how are you feeling?
If an unimaginable world-shaping power offers you the chance to look into your curiosity and tell you truthfully, do you look? Yeah, stick around for the end on this one, kids. Changes a lot.
It does change a lot, and thank you all for your support. We really appreciate it. Please remember to like, subscribe, and comment on the video. And if you're interested, we have a Patreon as well as a Discord community you can join in our description below. Now, without further ado, please enjoy the show. Previously on Fables of Frost and Fur, Poppy, Leanne, and Harlan, still emotionally strained from the revelations shown to them by the mirror tree, found themselves hopelessly lost in the woods. Relentlessly pursued by mysterious attackers, the party is pushed to their limits, particularly Harlan. His body gave out, and the party found themselves surrounded by their attackers, a group of hostile beastkin. Believing that Poppy's coming was prophesized, one of the beastkin, named the Dream Speaker, begs for Poppy to transform to human form to prove it. Scared for the safety of her companions, Poppy focused her powers for the first time, willingly turned back into human. All the beastkin surged forward, bowing. They reverently escorted the party to their hidden sanctum, where it was revealed that an ancient maudite hare, named the Dream Mother, sleeps eternally. At the Dream Speaker's behest, Poppy laid down by the Dream Mother and went to sleep. An eternal, starless night sky envelops the faint, dark, green-blue waters of the wondrous sea. As the waves surge, Poppy blinks, and all is quiet. She stares at the beautiful sunlight streaming through majestic windows of an ancient throne room. Its floors gorgeous tile, marble, granite, inlaid with molten gold. As it shimmers in the sunlight, she steps forward. She sees at the center of this empty, vast room a throne, gold and velvet. Seated with his fist underneath his chin, staring out through the window, a lion man, a maudite with golden fur and fiery red mane, gazes over slowly at Poppy. His eyes widen. He stands up and makes towards her. Poppy, you look different. Poppy looks down, and her hands go up to her head. Her hair ears aren't there.
How do you know the Dream Mother, Ardal?
I'm sorry, what?
I'm here now because of her.
I'm sorry, I'm so confused. First off, not to disregard your question, I am so glad to see you. I was so worried. We haven't spoken in days. I'm glad to see you are safe. You are unharmed, I assume.
And Poppy stares at him for a little bit. There's tension in her shoulders and a ton of emotion that can't even be described etched across her face. But as she takes in the silence of the room and the genuine concern in his face, those shoulders slump I'm unharmed physically, yeah, but it's been a lot.
You have my condolences. I'm sorry. I should not have been crass about your appearance. I'm a bit surprised. You must understand I have not seen another human visage in a very long time. I'm sorry. Come, sit. He turns and stares at an empty spot beside his throne. Poppy swears she can hear a little pop as a smaller chair materializes in existence. Aha! Lucid dreaming. Wonderful, isn't it?
Ew. I did tell you this is how I'm supposed to look, right, Ardon?
Yes, I remember, but, I thought... I didn't know what I thought. I wasn't expecting you to be just as beautiful as a human. You want a seat? You should have a seat. Come, sit, please.
Despite the stress Poppy has been under, her face goes pink at the compliments, and she sits down rather awkwardly now, trying to avoid his eye contact.
I'm sorry the last few days have been difficult. Would you like to talk about it?
I don't know where to start. I thought I would come in here, really aggressive with that question. You really don't know who the Dream Mother is?
I haven't the faintest who you're talking about.
Do I believe him?
Carmen, roll insight for me, please.
That is a natural 20. Oh.
Amazing. In this quiet moment, with just inches between the two of you, Poppy stares into Ardon's eyes. She can see that there isn't a single thing that this man wouldn't tell her if he knew. She could ask him anything, and he would answer truthfully.
Have you figured out why we're connected like this? Why I can come into your dreams?
I have an idea, yes. Possibly stupid, but at this point it's all I've got, so... Would you like to hear my harebrained idea? Sorry, that was a cross joke. I'm working on the jokes. I realize they're out of date, and I'm trying to... I'm sorry. I apologize.
Yeah, I want to hear it, because I want to cross-examine it against my own.
All right. We are connected by something, I believe, in the wondrous sea, seeing as how any communication or traversal between vast distances, especially minds, must involve the wondrous sea somehow. In my day, sending stones were incredibly dangerous. We had to have guards stationed, small armies, to send messages back and forth vast distances, and even then, those sending could not do it their entire lives. Things would come out of the wondrous sea and... Sorry, I digress. I believe something is connecting us, yes. As for why, I believe I have to go back to that night. You are aware of the Howling Night, yes?
I am, yeah.
The one who cursed us, he looks incredibly uncomfortable, like this is a deep, deep shame that he cannot bear to recall. She told me I was nothing more than a heartless beast, that I would be cursed to never leave this castle, transformed into a monster and forced to wander its halls for all of eternity, with my magic sealed away. She laughed when she told me how to lift the curse. A kiss from a woman who walks both the world of man and the world of beasts, who knows the struggles of both. And I've come to the conclusion that that woman is you. And something is pulling you and I together to lift this curse. So, I think that you and I are connected because you are meant to be ushered south to my castle and to lift this curse. And he sort of smiles a little and says, I know, it sounds so stupid, but that's all I've got, really.
Well, I also came to that conclusion, but through much different reasoning and history.
I'm sorry, what?
Did Queen Inga tell you that before or after she said that there would be no Alizéans left?
Queen Inga? No, that's not who... Her name was Princess Tuvstar. We called her Tuvi. Perhaps a bit of a history lesson. You see, before I was married, I was betrothed to another. It was to be an alliance with Livland. The idea was that Livland was under constant pressure from the Kurnish Empire, and that we would secure an alliance by having her be married to a prince of Alizé. And I was to be that prince. We were betrothed quite young, and truth be told, I considered her my friend. We were quite close. She was the one who cursed us.
And what happened to your wife?
I assume she's dead. She was out of Artois when the curse hit the city. She was in her summer chateau just outside, and obviously I have not been able to leave, so I just would imagine that after a couple 100 years, Queen Rosa is very much dead, I assume.
As Poppy stares at him, she thinks of a sleeping Maudit surrounded by a bed of roses. Your betrothed. What did she look like?
Well, she was my betrothed. Obviously, when I became the Dauphin, she was, sorry, to answer your question, she had white hair, striking blue eyes, very pale skin, as is the typical Livlander.
Yeah, she goes by Queen Inga now.
He smiles, and he turns away, just briefly. Yes, I assume.
I'm supposed to go south, presumably to see you. I've been told to go there to undo all of this.
And he looks very sheepish and doesn't look you in the eye. I cannot, force you, but I would be greatly appreciative if you released me from 300 years of isolation.
And I want to do that. And I want to help everyone else as well. But there are those who don't want that help.
I'm sorry, what?
A lot has changed since you've been here, obviously. Hundreds of years have passed with culture and family and beastkin that live in Grandel. Some of them are very happy to be that way. And undoing this curse means undoing everything.
I'm sorry. To be very clear, beastkin are...
They're like a mix of you and me.
Oh.
The offspring of Maudit and human.
Oh. Yes, I can see how several hundred years the people would accept the reality. I understand. And he crosses his arms, and he leans back in his throne, and he stares at the ground.
Do you think there's a way to do both?
Both human and beastkin living alongside each other? You could just leave me here for all of eternity, I suppose.
I don't think that's an option either. Because there's a lot of people who also don't like being beastkin. I just want everyone to get their own way, to choose.
I do not know of a way, no, but theoretically, if Tuvi created this curse, surely there must be some way to cast another, but maybe less harsh than the first one.
Do you think if you were released from here, you would talk to her and she would listen?
At this, he gets very, very quiet. When he turns back to look at Poppy, she sees an expression in him that frankly terrifies her. With hard eyes, he looks at Poppy and says, "Poppy, I'm going to be very honest. If I am released, I will destroy Tuvi. She must pay for the pain and suffering of an entire kingdom, my kingdom. They trusted me, Poppy, and I failed them. She must answer for what she has done."
I don't disagree. I've seen her effects secondhand and how they deteriorate those you love. I would help you do that, but I want the ending that I choose, which is that everyone can choose at the end.
My powers are vast, Poppy, but I will not lie to you. I do not know if I have that power within me.
How could you stop her? You against her kingdom and everything she has.
I have seen her powers before, when she tried to convince me to take up arms against the Kurnish. I know what her god soul, that of Hersent the she-wolf, is capable of. My god soul, that of Noble the lion, is more powerful than hers. Her ice will melt beneath my fire.
Then I will help fan the flames.
Thank you. Thank you. And he cries. It's been so long. It's been so long. I can fix this. Early on, I can fix this, I promise. Once you are here, Poppy, I don't know how you'll be able to walk in. You'll be placed as a part of her curse that no one would be able to walk into Artois without turning to stone. This dream mother you speak of, whatever it is, can it help you? I don't even know where you are. Who are you with? Can they help you?
I'm with her right now. I thought I'd be meeting her here.
Sorry to disappoint.
No disappointment. You've given me a lot to think about. I'll figure out a way. And presumably on the journey down, I'll probably talk to you again.
I would very much like that. Puppy. He wipes the tears from his fur, and he turns and smiles at her. A genuine, gentle smile. When you arrive here, would you have dinner with me?
If I arrive there, please cook anything but rabbit.
The sides of her vision start to blur, and she blacks out. When she opens her eyes again, Poppy finds herself tucked into the arms of a Maudit hare, breathing gently on a bed of roses.
What is this game you're playing? I was supposed to talk to you.
As she looks down, she sees in her clasped hands, she is holding 3 rings that Poppy swears weren't there before. Silver, intricate, twisting like vines and roots. Beautiful, powerful, although in what way she does not know. They shimmer against the skylight, streaming in the moonlight from outside.
I needed answers. I'm just more confused now than ever. There's a heave in her breath as she tries to regain a normal breathing pattern. She stares down into the face of the very beautiful Maudit woman if this is your way of payment, I'll be cashing in. And she is going to try and remove the rings.
She does so with ease, and as she holds these rings, she feels ancient, old magic. Harmless to her, but they are meant for something greater.
Poppy will slip one on to her index finger.
As she does so, she feels nothing. Absolutely nothing.
All right. She's going to stand up and make her way back to the door.
Poppy opens the double doors and finds outside, waiting, a dark-skinned deerkin woman with curly black hair, anxiously pacing, and the moment the doors open, her head whips around, and she hurriedly makes her way to Poppy.
The second that Poppy meets her eyes, there is a flash of anger there, a rage propelled into movement. And quickly, she staggers over to the woman and grabs her by the collar of her shirt. You said there would be answers. You said I would talk to the Dream Mother herself.
Why? Yes, surely she had answers for you. What did you see? Lilu, please, what did you see?
There were no answers. There was no Dream Mother.
But that's impossible. She speaks to me all the time. I don't understand. What please, Lilu, what exactly did you see? Perhaps I can interpret it for you. Perhaps this is my purpose.
Gods. And Poppy will shove her to the side.
I'm sorry. Forgive me.
Where's my uncle? Where is he? Did you take care of him, or was that another false promise?
No false promises. Our best healers are with him and the fox-skinned woman. They are in the infirmary. And she shakily points her hand down the way that you came. If you exit these doors and go straight to the left, down the hallway is the infirmary.
Without waiting for more of explanation, Poppy stalks off. Not quite as fast as she was before with her hairkin body, but there is a ferocity, an anger in her movement.
She makes her way through a hall, and as she does so at blistering pace, the beastkin in these halls are taken aback by surprise. They leap back at the sight of Poppy. Some of them bow reverently. Some of them prostrate themselves on the hard marble floor as she strides past them and into a room that looks to be an old nurse's office, now occupied with wooden beds. And she can see her uncle and Vianne seated on two beds at the far end of the room, and they turn to look at her.
Without sparing any concern for the others in the room, Poppy's gaze flicks between Vianne and her uncle. Can we have a moment, please?
And at this, you hear the dream speaker behind you. You heard her? Go, clear off, now, clear off. Lilu, should you need anything, we shall be down the hall. And she bows deeply and closes the doors behind her.
What happened? What did you see?
I don't know. It was hard to hunt again. There was no Dream Mother, there were no answers. And quickly, with a flash of her hand, 2 rings fly in the direction of both of you. These were there after I put one on. I didn't do anything. He said he wants to kill her, Queen Inga. He said if I free him, he will end her.
I can't say I'm surprised after what we learned she did to him.
We saw how personal that curse was. We knew there was something between them.
Yeah, they were betrothed.
Excuse me?
They were what now?
Yeah. And then he married another.
Oh.
And then he said he wouldn't help with her war.
Against the Kurnish, yeah. Poppy begins pacing.
I would like Harlan and Vianne to make history checks for me, please.
Vianne was an illegitimate student of the Academy. She stole more than knowledge from those halls. But she sees that there is still weariness in Harlan, so she rests a hand on his shoulder and still finds that there is power. Vian casts guidance.
That is a natural 1.
No!
Beautiful curses. Beautiful.
That's a natural 1 minus 4 with 2 levels exhaustion for a -3.
Lovely.
She rolled a 2 plus a 5 for a 7.
Oh.
The two of you search your knowledge of history, what war this would be. And all that you can find is that hundreds of years ago, the Kurnish Empire rapidly expanded. Their armies marched across many, many, many countries, and it destroyed some and annexed others.
I'm sorry, Pip-Pop, I can't think straight right now, but you said he was betrothed to her. Does that mean she was a princess?
Poppy's pacing stops, and she looks over at her uncle. Yeah. He said she was a princess of Livland?
Both of you recognize this. A long-forgotten nation, conquered long ago by the Kurnish and annexed into their empire. A small country, but known for its reverence of old ancient magics and its propensity to produce ice witches.
Vian starts to prestidigitate in the surfaces of dust on these ill-used beds. The gentle shape of a map. It's not accurate, but it shows Grendel and its northern seat of power. It shows misty visions of what everyone assumes to be the Kurnish Empire, closed off hundreds of years ago by Ingo's wall, and then points further north to where she thinks Livland may have been. And then she points again at that wall. That first dramatic act of magic that established Queen Inga as a force of nature and of magic and of power. The wall wasn't between Grendel and the Maudite. It was between Grendel and the Kurnish. She was already fighting her war.
So you think that, Livland is beyond the wall? Or do you think where Portuglas is now, that was Livland? I'm sorry, I was never much of a history student. Did it sound like they were allies? Ardell and, Inga.
Yes, or in the process of becoming them.
And he not only did not marry her, he said he would not help her. Protect her people.
Yes.
Right. Well, don't meet your heroes. Or some kings, I guess.
Did they help you, Uncle Harlan? Are you feeling okay?
You're the one that healed me. They really weren't able to do anything more than that.
I've been casting every ritual and magic that I know, but most of my powers are destructive. And the ones that I have to gather information are telling us nothing. We don't know what's wrong with him.
Well, seems it's been a whole journey of no answers so far.
Just new questions, though. That is not nothing. Now, these rings. Maybe there's some answers here.
I could probably find them out if you can swindle a spell component off of one of these folks here.
Oh, I think they're ready to give Pip-Pop just about anything she asks for.
I'll ask. Though I was quite mean to the dream speaker.
I think they might be even more willing to give you things because of that. It's kind of the way worship works.
What a horrible god for them to worship. I'll be right back. Poppy is going to leave and try to find said spell component.
And Poppy exits the double doors in search of a pearl, one of high enough quality for Vian's spell. As she exits the double doors, she finds, to her slight amusement, that the moment she bursts them open, a crowd of beastkin stumble backwards and yelp out. They stumble and fall over one another, very much trying to hide the fact that they were attempting to eavesdrop. They prostrate themselves in front of Poppy, and they start trying to beg for her forgiveness. Apologies, Lily. We were just so concerned. We heard the noise, and we thought someone was hurt, and you needed us, and we just wanted to hear you. And
there is a moment where Poppy seems to be grabbing up strings of anger and bundling them deep, deep inside herself until she is just defeated, shoulders slumped, standing there. And in a very quiet voice, small even, she says, "Well, since you were listening, would anyone happen to have a very expensive pearl?"
We shall find one. Yes. Stay right here, Lily. We should go off. And then they start like kicking each other, trying to push each other. Like, girl.
Oh, there's no need to.
They all run off in a hurry, and one of them is left behind. It's a small hairkin girl, and she just sort of looks up at Poppy, maybe no more than 4 or 5 years old, and she carries with her a little sewn cloth doll in the shape of a human.
Okay. Poppy is going to kneel down in front of her and hold out a hand. What do you have here?
She stares wide-eyed at Poppy and just silently gives the poppet over to Poppy. It's well worn, not secondhand, not third hand, maybe fourth hand. It's old. It's been stitched over many times. Its body is covered in patches, but it is the form of a human in a beautiful green ball gown with striking red hair and green button eyes.
Poppy, holding it in very gentle hands, is going to take a moment and then, with deft fingers, squeeze the hair into 2 bunny-like ears on the top of the head and hand it back to the girl.
The girl takes it, confused, and she holds it up. She looks at the doll, and then she giggles, and then she hugs it and kisses it, and she runs off, her gentle little footsteps echoing down the hall.
Poppy will wait for the hordes of beastkin to come back.
She doesn't have to wait long. She hears the footsteps first, heavy, thudding, thunderous, as one bearkin man, larger than the rest, holds out his hand as he sprints forward. Lulu, I have the pearl for you. And he runs and sprints as a horde follows him, chasing him, yelling at him, claiming that he's a cheater. And as he approaches you, he slides down on his knees and presents the pearl to you.
Thank you. That's very kind. Hopefully, we can repay you back.
No, Lulu. This is our service to you. All that you see here is yours.
Very gracious of you. Thank you so much. And then she's going to pluck the pearl out of his hand and, maintaining eye contact, walking backwards, she's going to go back into the infirmary.
As she does so, she catches down the hall a single figure, large horns, a deerkin man taller than the rest. As he looks at her disapprovingly, he squints his eyes and he shakes his head, and he disappears behind the door.
Poppy bursts through the door with that anger she's been carrying with her. It catches Vianne ever so slightly by surprise, but Vianne and Harlan, both practiced spies, pretend like as if there wasn't anything that they were just talking about, and that she hadn't interrupted. Whispered thoughts. You are expedient. Thank you for that. I'll just take a few moments with this and all of the rings, if I may. I know this one does not seem to have done you harm, but we can't be certain.
By all means. And Poppy will take her own ring off and hand it to Vianne with the pearl.
And Vian casts a knowing look over at Harlan, and then retreats into an area lit with moonlight and spends some time in ritual.
Moonlight streams through these floor-to-ceiling windows, old but well taken care of, as Poppy and Harlan gaze out into the forest, and they see a gentle society of beastkin living in an idyllic landscape, end their day, say their goodbyes, and enter their wooden, humble homes. And you watch as one by one the lights within are put out as darkness fills this little space.
Vian sits on the ground comfortably, not minding the dust on her fine silks. She holds her hand, touching 3 rings, 1 on each finger. And by the light of the pearl, reflected and refracting moonlight, she waves it gently over those rings, looking for the subtle changes of color that become, like themselves, a melody. Because music is math, and math is language, and in that calculation, it will speak its true nature. Not if it's cursed, but just what it does. She casts Identify on each of the rings, using the Pact of the Tome that she has borrowed from a patron she no longer speaks to.
She finds all 3 rings are identical. She feels a powerful and potent spell that she has learned in her time stealing knowledge from the Academy. These are rings of protection from petrification.
It does seem that the Dream Mother was listening to you, Poppy. This is quite a gift. And she'll hand the rings back to Poppy, closing her hand around them. This will take you safely into Artois.
This will take us safely into Artois. There's 3 of them. And so much for her listening if she didn't want to offer any insight. Call it childish, but I'm quite cross with the Dream Mother right now.
So you didn't hear a thing?
No.
Harlan shifts himself on the bed, as if he's trying to find some position that doesn't hurt. Right. But a dream speaker, she's spoken to the Dream Mother herself, right?
Yeah, and she made it seem like it was a very common occurrence.
We're gonna have a longer conversation with her.
I think there are some here that are already starting to dislike me.
What'd you see?
I saw a man who did not seem very pleased with my presence. I worry that if things don't go the way that they want it to, that it could get bloody. And I need you two to get out if it does.
Almost certainly it will get bloody, Poppy. But this strange little gift that the Dream Mother has given you may make Artois itself the safest place to be. Queen Inga, for all her might and magic, has never expanded the reach of her queendom. She cannot touch Artois. Nor, for that matter, can anyone else. Except for...
What are you proposing? That we stay there? Live there forever? In a city of stone?
I'm saying that if all we have is one step at a time, that is the safest step.
We're all making it up as we go along right now, Pip-Pop.
I want to say something terribly quippy, like, speak for yourself. I have a master plan. But, Vian just kind of smiles sadly at Harlan.
He smiles with a warm but pained face back at her. Well, I don't know how much else we can do tonight.
And almost as if on cue, you hear a rap at the door.
Allow me, Poppy. If you are going to be a queen, you must get used to having attendants. Never answer your own door. And Vian strides to the door with all the confidence of a lady at court.
As she opens the door, she is greeted by the sight and smells of a fresh, hot meal. As the dream speaker, carrying a large platter, old but polished and well taken care of, and she presents it forward. Yes, companion to Lilu. We have your meal prepared. Shall we set the table in here, or are we going to be attending to the dining room?
Vian. Her name is Vian.
Yes, Lady Vian, will you be joining us in the dining room, or shall we set the tables here?
Vian, promoted from companion, looks back to Poppy.
Can we eat here? And she is very pointedly asking the question to Vian.
Thank you very much, Dream Speaker. I believe that this is all we will need. I do want to confirm that we will not be disturbed until sunrise.
And she looks uncomfortable, and so do the 15 or so servants behind her carrying plates of food. Forgive me, Lilu, we have the master bedroom prepared for you. Shall we move the bed down here then?
I'm fine on the floor. I'd rather not leave my uncle.
She is very shocked and absolutely scandalized. I must protest, Lilu. We can provide bedding.
And what kind of servant are you that would protest the words of your leader?
Vian.
We will take the food here.
She gets beet red. Yes, of course, Madame Vian, Lilu. And she ushers in these 15 or so servants. Quite young, but very, very eager and prim and properly trained. Their posture is completely straight and perfect as they march in with plates of steaming hot food. One of them is carrying a little table. As she sets it down, and they start filling the table and other surfaces that they've pulled. Some of the drawers next to the infirmary beds, they'll pull over and place food on top of it. And they sheepishly look at the dream speaker, and she very annoyedly just sort of shoos them away.
Poppy, who has yet to play into the role of up-and-coming queen, young goddess, whatever the act that they're trying to convey is simply sitting with her head in her hands. Very, very, very obviously ignoring all the proceedings of what's happening.
Is there something else we can call you besides Dream Speaker? It's a lot to say every time I want to talk to you.
Lilu, what is his title?
That is my uncle, Harlan. She finally raises her head out of her hands.
Yes, Monsieur Harlan, Monsignor Harlan, forgive me.
Just Harlan is just fine. Now, what is your name?
Dream Speaker?
That's your name. That's what your mama called you?
No, forgive me, we traditionally relinquish our given names when one of us becomes the next dream speaker. It's a great honor.
All right. I'm gonna call you Dreamy. No, that's terrible. What am I gonna call her? Right, Dream Speaker's too long, and Hey You is too rude. So I am gonna call you
DS.
DS. Congratulations, you're an acronym.
If I may, Monsignor, I would not be remiss to being called D.
D sounds just fine to me.
Very good.
Look at that. Advocating for yourself. Will you be joining us for dinner?
Only if Lilu wishes it.
Seeing a very non-subtle nod from her uncle, Poppy just throws her hands in the air in a very welcoming gesture, laced with sarcasm. Please, the more the merrier. Join us in our fabulous floor meal. And she'll pick up a bowl and salute it to the dream speaker.
If Lulu is not pleased, we could have the servants carry a table in here.
That's not what I was saying.
So you do not want the table? She looks at the door, and you can see like a table leg halfway through and a beastkin looking in. You do not want the table?
No. But you've carried it all this way, so it feels really rude to say no now. So sure.
She gestures them in, and 4 very large beastkin men, all bearkin, come in with this massive solid wood table, their muscles straining to carry it, and they sort of turn it on its side to try and fit it through the door, and they have to sort of hushly hiss at each other, whispering at each other to try and navigate it through. They finally manage to do so, and they plop the table down with grunts all around. Some additional servants come in, some of the serving girls that you saw before, with large chairs, these nice fine velvet cushions on them. They set them up around the table, and they move the food towards the table, and they bow and take their leave. Yes, Lilu, Madame, Monseigneur, please, I insist.
With a bone-deep sigh, Poppy will make her way to the table and gesture for the dream speaker to sit as well.
She sheepishly sits down and makes a point to not touch the utensils and keep her hands in her lap as she stares attentively at Poppy.
Are you hungry?
Only if Lilu wishes me to be.
Poppy will she'll grab a plate and start shoveling food on it and then slide it over.
Thank you. Thank you, Lilu. I accept this meal. Shall I say you want me to eat? Understood, yes. And then she starts to gingerly pick at some of the potatoes that are there, as well as cutting some of the meat. You smell some of the meat that she's cutting. It is lamb, and it's seasoned very, very well, and it smells delicious.
Poppy will begin eating and shoot a look to her uncle that basically says, "You wanted her here, so speak."
Now, I'd like to have an idea of the kind of place I'm in and who is in charge. And who would you say that is, D?
I suppose that would be Corbin. I suppose he is our echevin.
Corbin. Oh. Have we had the pleasure of...
Forgive me. No, you have not. He only recently returned from a hunt. I insisted, I implored that he should be here. But he seemed distracted and said he must attend to his duties before making introductions to Lilu.
And what was the nature of this distraction, D?
He did not say.
Now, surely, one such as yourself who is trained in these subtle arts of communication with the Dream Mother would be adept at reading the non-verbal cues of her peers.
Forgive me, madame, I do not know what you are asking me.
I'm asking you to tell us what you are not telling us. And if you will not speak, I will find out in other ways.
I will answer whatever Lilu asks of me.
Consider these two an extension of myself.
Yes, Lilu. There are some here in the sanctum who do not believe anymore.
So he's who I saw earlier. He's got a nasty glare.
Oh.
She's gonna take a big spoonful of potatoes after she says that.
Yes, I must admit, Lilu, that's sort of just his face, but no, he was very cross, yes. He has been very vocal about opening the sanctum to the outside world. You see, we Watchers have traditionally isolated ourselves in repentance for the sins of our ancestors.
And what sins were those?
Indulgence, Monseigneur.
Indulgence.
Horrific indulgence.
Wait, are you saying that you think this happened because your ancestors?
It was a divine punishment.
Divine punishment, right. You heard that from You've heard that from the Dream Mother. She told you that?
Of course, naturally, yes. Yes. We are beasts as a divine punishment for our ancestors in Alize and their overindulgence and their hubris.
Right. No, yeah.
And that the Sun King was the beacon of light meant to guide us. But the Alizean people, they were not ready for his divine will. And instead they sinned and they overindulged. And they ignored the words of the Sun King.
What is it like when she talks to you?
And she puts her utensils down. She puts her hands in her lap. It's most divine. It's such a wonderful feeling. It's falling asleep and gently being caressed by what feels to be just a mass of moving vines, gently rocking you back and forth, wrapping themselves around you. She approaches a voice in your head and speaks to you. It's wonderful.
And you see her? You see her as you see her in that bed of roses?
No, I do not. She takes a much more divine form than the punishment that we were dealt.
So it's more of a feeling of being cradled.
Well, yes, but, and she leans forward. I've opened my eyes once while dreaming, just to see what she looks like.
My goodness.
I know she appears as a hare in her punishment, but, if you would believe it, she appears as a red fox with many tails, like those of vines.
I never would have thought.
I know. It's incredible. I'm sorry, Lilu, if that's not what you saw. I don't know. I cannot explain it. I'm sorry. She appears clear to me. I don't know.
Poppy has gone completely rigid and is in a state of frozen surprise, with both utensils still in her hands.
My, Poppy, the turnip's not to your liking. It's fine, here. Miss Vienne prestidigitates a neutral seasoning onto it. She speaks into Poppy's head. Be careful. The knowledge that we have, it could break them. Vienne stands from the table, behind Poppy, somewhat protectively, looking over towards Harlan to gauge that his health is not failing worse. And then moving about the table as if she were a servant, with grace removing plates and clearing things for the next course. She casually asks the dream speaker, "Can you make yourself dream of this space whenever you like?"
Oh, no. I try, and sometimes it works, but, I cannot do it every time, no.
I would like to try it with you.
I'm sorry?
You can invite me into your mind. I can stay as a pretty little bird hidden among the branches. You would hardly notice I am there.
And she looks at Poppy.
Poppy, who just now seems to be coming out of her stupor, shoots a look to Vienne. She knows what she's asking and is very worried about breaking the very, very fragile balance that is held together in this sanctum right now. Is that too big of an ask, Dream Speaker?
No, I suppose not. What shall I do, madame?
Simply go to sleep and let me in.
I see. Right now, or shall we finish dinner?
When you're ready.
All right. If we are no longer hungry, I shall have the attendants clear the food, and I shall sleep in here with all of you. Do all of you want to? I'm sorry, my teachings did not prepare me for this.
I think on second notice, I will be using that master bedroom tonight, Dream Speaker.
Yes, of course. And she gets up, and she opens the double doors, and she ushers in the servants again, and they start clearing plates. You see her gesture towards you, holding out a hand. Right this way, Lilu. She has one of the servant girls start to lead Poppy away.
As Poppy's leaving, Harlan will squeeze her hand, whisper in her ear. You know that thing your daddy taught you? Guarding the perimeter? You should do that tonight.
Poppy will hold tight to his forearm. And just as close, she'll whisper, I'm going to get answers. Before breaking away.
As the servant girl leads Poppy through the halls, she catches a glimpse of a man in a passing doorway. Large for his frame, covered in leathers, not unlike the hunter's leathers that she wears. He has huge stag horns and a scowl on his face as he eyes her, passing by, arms crossed. The servant girl, a Lion-Kin woman, quickly ushers you away and up the flight of the central stairs in the foyer, past the beautifully framed giant painting of a gorgeous blonde woman in a dress fashionable hundreds of years ago. As she walks through carpeted hallways, the servant girl leads her to a bedroom where two large wolfkin men, armed with spears, guard at the sides. And they nod, and they open the door. Poppy is ushered into an old but beautiful granite room with blue carpet on the floor and gorgeous, gorgeous windows framed in gold. At the far end, a bed fit for a queen.
She has seen the pits of rooms upon their travels and the most beautiful scenes while visiting Ardent. And this room is nothing that would take her breath away. Yet, she steels herself for a moment before quickly and quietly turning to the door and casting alarm along its edges. Once complete, she makes her way to the bed. Crisscross applesauce on the bed and closing her eyes. Poppy waits and waits and waits and forces herself into the cool air and the lapping waves of the wondrous sea.
The camera cuts back to the infirmary, where the servants have laid out a bedroll for the dream speaker. And as she removes a few of her outer coats, she kneels on the bedroll and says, Madame, here is all right? I go to sleep?
Wherever you're comfortable, darling.
All right. And she tucks herself into the bedroll, nervous. Here I go. And she leans back. She shuts her eyes.
And as this deerkin's breathing begins to slow, Vian squeezes Harlan's hand. I know why I am here now. Because Poppy can walk among both worlds. And I can just pick the lock to see through. I want you to stay with me, Harlan. And if I squeeze, I want you to take off this ring.
All right. Squeezes her hand back.
Okay. Poppy is there to get answers. In reality, if this works, I will be able to see the dream. A falsehood. Harlan, hold on to us. And with Vian's left hand clasped in Harlan's, she reaches out towards the fitfully dozing deerkin and touches her with gaze of two minds. The reason why Vian is here and not someone else.
As Vian reaches out, she opens her eyes to find herself looking down at hands that have darker skin than hers, wearing clothing she's unfamiliar with, and a weight on her head that she's not used to. The horns on this deerkin are heavier than she'd expect them to be. And she gazes out into an endless horizon, with waves gently ebbing and flowing beneath her feet. The camera cuts back as Poppy opens her eyes and hears the sound of ebbing waves. She is now sitting on the waters of the wondrous sea, and almost as if called, sitting in front of her on its haunches, a white fox with 9 tails.
You know, I'm here. It's not a question, more of a demand.
I've been following you, making sure that you're safe, yes.
You know that I know, then.
I do. Honestly, the way that you found out was over time, and I would have much preferred it if I had found out over time. Maybe I'd still be alive.
Have you dealt with that red fox before?
Yes. He is the one who made me like you.
And who are you?
My name is Etoile, and I grew up in Lunel. The camera cuts back. Vianne is gazing into the endless waters as the dream speaker's voice calls out, Mother? Mother, are you there? She's here. Lilu is here, and her attendants wish to speak to you. I don't know why you didn't speak to her, but please, show yourself. And in the distance, a shape appears, dark and approaching. Through the mist, it materializes. A dark shade of red, and a tail behind it spanning out like tendrils, shadowy and wispy, as it pads its way towards the deerkin woman.
I've seen your face before. In a mirror, one that reflected only truth. It was you who cursed Poppy. But is that you, my old friend? No, it couldn't possibly be you. But please, introduce yourself. I only know you by the sound of your voice.
She hears nothing.
Vianne can't speak using the dream speaker's own mouth. That isn't hers. She is a participant. She is trapped inside this mind, silent. She squeezes her hand and Harlan's.
Harlan has been staring quietly at Vianne, his sword in his lap ready for anyone who might come to try to disturb them, dreading the possibility that she would squeeze his hand. But he doesn't question it. He reaches for her hand and removes the ring of mind shielding.
Speak to me, damn it!
In a flash, a searing pain in Vianne's mind as she stares through the eyes of a woman dreaming. The red fox in front of her grins. Oh, have you forgiven me, little kit? And that is where we end our session.
What? Oh no.
Oh no.
I don't know why I'm crying.
Oh no.
Oh no. I'm also crying because that was just fucking beautiful, guys. That was so well done from everyone. I'm crying. Wow.
Oh my god.
So,
Whoops.
This is deeply upsetting, and I knew that it would be. I was like, I have these cool eldritch powers. I wonder what Kenny would give us if we,
Yeah.
looked inside.
Kaylee, I have to ask, when did you suspect?
The minute that we saw the tree, the mirror tree. That's why I blacked out and Vianne cracked that whole thing to smithereens. She was like, no, this is definitely not happening.
So the moment you saw a red fox do what it did to Poppy to give her this ability is when you knew?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poppy. Oh no. Oh no. I'm so sorry. Like what would have happened if we didn't know? Like we're coming up to this choice and we could have gone into it with more ignorance.
Nothing would have changed if you didn't know.
Really?
Everything is still there. Yeah.
Because we still don't know exactly.
I have so many more questions for the white fox. Oh.
I was really hoping I would be answering a bunch, but I'm so sorry. I gave you more questions. I wrote too much. I'm sorry. Too much lore. I'm sorry.
No, I mean, there's...
Gorgeous. Yeah.
Because there's still, I imagine it's not good, but what does it want?
Oh.
Which one?
And why does it want to reverse the curse? The bad fox.
Does it want to reverse the curse?
I think at this point, we are probably okay with calling it the patron.
Oh, no.
Since it's cat's out of the bag. Fox is out of the bag?
The fox has taken the bag and just,
shaking it.
Maybe that's why. Hold on, I'm going full conspiracy. Maybe that's why the white fox said, wait, but that's not canon. Never mind. Shut the fuck up. Never mind.
But the white fox is a person.
The white fox is the Lunel case.
That's what made me start crying when I thought about it.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh my God, you are the failed attempt. You are...
This is what happened. Is that what's happened to all of the progenitors in there? It should have been me. Like, they all tried and failed.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I think.
It should have been me. Yeah.
That's why I started getting so emotional.
Yeah.
I'm so mad you cut me off, Kenny. I just have one question. I wanted to ask that.
Gonna have to wait.
Well, that's how we're starting next session.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but that was too good of a spot to not stop.
That was so good.
If you liked this sneak peek, you can find the rest of this post-session chat and much more on our Patreon. Also, if you'd like to interact with myself or our fabulous cast, or just chat with fellow fans, please join our Discord. Links to both are included in the description. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time.